It's John. How is everybody? I have never made a Facebook Live video before, except for some concert video I took one time that was sideways, like at a 90-degree angle. But I wanted to talk about something that's pretty amazing that's going on with me right now, and something that's really been kind of life-changing. And it starts with the fact that for me, if you were to check me out at breakfast time at any point in about the last 20 years, you would find me with one of these. This is an energy drink, and you would find me with some of these. These are chocolate cupcakes. And ask anybody who knows me, my standard go-to breakfast was usually eaten on the way to the office, in the car. It was thrown down at the desk. It was thoughtless. It was not something that I even had a conscious effect of enjoying. And I did it because I needed a kickstart or a boost in the morning. It was all about how to get my engine started. And I woke up in the morning craving sugar and caffeine, and that pretty much never went away. I work in a pretty fast-paced office environment, and I had a solo law practice for 13 years. I also worked on 6 different political campaigns in my life, and those took up about 9 years of my life. When you're on a campaign, you work 7 days a week, and you have caffeine and sugar to wake up in the morning, and you use alcohol to slow yourself down at night, and you do this for 7 days a week. And it just takes this incredible, horrible toll on your body, and you come out of it feeling kind of older and slower and experiencing exhaustion a lot of the time. And so, for me, it was just this crazy repetitive process of not doing any self-care around what I was putting into my body. And I started to notice when I got into my 40s, probably early 40s, that my metabolism slowed down. And so not only am I not a morning person to begin with, and I was using all of these really negative resources to try and keep myself going, whether it was the mocha in the morning or just endless rounds of coffee. I always had some kind of drink in my hand in order to function. And it got worse because when you hit your 40s, things slow down a little, and you lack the energy that you once had. I think there's a slowdown that happens in the 30s and then again in the 40s. But for me, it was pretty profound. I had gone through an entire period of my life of almost 20 years of essentially working 2 jobs. And for a portion of my life, I had a seriously ill child. And so I didn't sleep for about 3 years during that period of time. And I just maladapted around all of these things you put in your body for a short-term kick. So about 10 years ago, I cut out the alcohol. And that was a really big deal for me, and it was a really big moment. It was hard. But what I found was I started putting on a lot of weight because I was eating more and different and worse foods, and then I was using caffeine and just fueling it all that way. So I actually felt worse in terms of my health in the years after I quit drinking than I did in the 10 years prior to that. And so I was in pretty bad shape by last summer, and I went to the doctor for a surgery that I knew I needed to have. And the doc said, you're going to have to lose about 25 pounds to have this surgery, and I want you to lose about 40 pounds, and then you've got issues with your triglycerides. And these were things that I'd never heard before. I don't have issues with blood pressure or cholesterol or any kind of sort of long-term issues that might involve cardiovascular. I was a competitive runner at one point in my life, and I have done some of those activities even within the last 10 years. But that's, especially in your 30s and 40s, that's no match for a terrible diet. And when you continue to make bad decisions around breakfast, and then you just order in lunch, or you're thoughtlessly putting together fast food at lunch, you're just perpetuating the cycle. And so I started to look around as I worked toward the surgery. And I knew I had a few months to try and figure out what to do to lose the weight, but I didn't have the motivation. Like, everyone should get up and go to the gym at 5 a.m. That's what we should all do. Like, that's how we should make ourselves, get in the shape that we need to be in. But especially given the surgery that I needed to have and just the low levels of energy that I was experiencing, it wasn't going to happen. And so I started to look around, and I wasn't interested in magic pills or meal replacements or short-term diets. I didn't think that any of those things were going to sustain for me. I wasn't interested in just losing the weight, having surgery, and then having it all go right back on, and sort of getting back to this, gaining a few pounds a year until it's completely out of control. And so through a lot of research and talking to friends, I found this product Thrive. And I had an opportunity to have some samples provided. I actually let those sit for a while, for about 3 weeks, while I figured out what the product was, how it worked, why it made sense, and what it did. And so I have now been using Thrive. I've been having the Thrive experience, is what they tell me to say, for about 8 weeks. And I have lost 24 pounds on my way to losing the whole 40. I have a greater degree of mental focus, and I have a greater level of energy, and my productivity is up, and I feel like I am more prepared to take on the day than I have been at any point since my 20s. I was a skeptic, and I very carefully looked at all of the options that I had to sort of do this restoration of health and do the next right thing for my body, and start learning some self-care. And what I came to was this very simple new 3-step habit that I have. So when I get out of bed in the morning, I take 2 of these Thrive capsules that are made for men. You can take 1 or 2. About 20 minutes later, after I have a glass of water, I use this Thrive mix, and that goes in a 16-ounce glass, and it gives me part of the nutrition I need to get going in the morning. Then I have a sensible, normal breakfast, and then after a shower, I put on this DFT patch. I have a black label patch that's designed for men, and that gives me the absorption energy the rest of the day. So here's what's different about this. So instead of having the caffeine kick in the morning and then the crash and then lunch and then the food coma, I get this absorbent energy that happens throughout the day, and that DFT patch is giving it to me the whole time, rather than having that up-down roller coaster and coming home at the end of the day feeling completely exhausted and not able to even move forward. And so the results so far have been really fantastic. And the restoration of energy in my 40s is really the biggest part of this, and a thing that I'm becoming pretty convicted about. I have a background in healthcare policy, and I understand healthcare, but I wasn't taking care of my own body. I wasn't being responsible for my own health in a way that was going to help me have the kind of longevity that I want to have. It's not cool. It's not better to burn out than fade away. It's not cool to not take care of yourself. And this has been a really important milestone for me. And so I'm going to be talking about it more, obviously. I am not a salesperson. I've not had a sales job in my life. I have a day job that I enjoy very much. And so this isn't about that. This is about the fact that I'm absolutely convinced that this Thrive is making a difference in how I perform in my life. And it's something that really solved a problem for me with my health when I really had to have it. So I did the surgery on January 24th. I feel fantastic. I actually think that the recovery process was aided by being conscious of putting the right foods in my body, and then using Thrive to sort of manage the energy issue. If I'm able to keep it up, 2018 is going to be a pretty great year. I've got a lot of great stuff in store that I'm intending to do. I'm inviting you to pay attention, come along on the journey with me and see what happens. If you want to know more about it, if you're kind of interested, there's plenty of more information about what Thrive is and what it does, and I'd be interested in sharing it with you. Comment on this video, or shoot me a message or a text, or talk to me when you see me in person next, and we'll just see what happens from here. But what I know for now is this: the energy drink and the cupcakes, perfectly good snacks, are going to go in the trash tonight. And and we're making a new start.